but we've also been plagued by more connection issues. And then Hitmar coming in with a brand new 1-month subscription, so thank you very much for that, Hitmar, and welcome to the Maudlings. Alright, let's go and switch music in and out. Get my notifications up properly so I can actually see all of this. And here we go. So, we do indeed have an invasion of Greece going on at the moment. I think that this would be better seen from the American perspective. They have the American heavy tanks coming in from Athens, which means they do have a port. They have made a successful landing. They're also attempting to take a second port, which is being guarded currently by Polish and Bulgarian forces. No, White Ruthenian. White Ruthenian and Bulgarian forces. Yeah, Greece is in trouble. Greece is definitely in trouble. We also have the French Republican Navy sitting off coast, providing a little bit of fire support. Although with only one heavy cruiser, the amount of support that is providing isn't going to be amazing. They're getting a shore bombardment of -7%. It caps out at 25%, regardless of how many guns you bring to the fight. Meanwhile, Reichspakt is smashing their way through France. They have a cut-off just outside of Caen. They have an attack going in towards Toulon and Marseille, being led by the Austrian heavy tanks, naturally. They've still not managed to take Sicily off of CNTFAI, nor have they taken Sardinia or Corsica back. However, the units down here are cut off. They have secured themselves another port, so even should Athens for some reason fall, they will have a fallback position. So yeah, southern Greece, it's in trouble. The massive Russian attacks in the meantime have now ceased. Most of this was likely a interruption for other offensives. Anatolia has been given to the United States and to India to control. Meanwhile, Middle Africa continues to get smashed, and the truce seems to be still in play. I do wonder how long that's going to last. However, we have got a massive German naval invasion of the Union of Britain. We have got a couple of Ukrainian paratroopers dropping in Cambridge. However, they are being pushed back by the Irish defenders, but they did their job. They delayed the reinforcements coming in. Norwich is about to fall. Norwich is not a port, however, next door to it is Ipswich has fallen. We have Marines coming in. They are supporting the attack on the Norwich port, and it does look like it's going to fall. They kind of want to have a second unit attacking this guy so that it doesn't come in and block that guy. Norwich is about to fall. They're going to have some more troops moving in over there. Portsmouth, green bubbles. Dover, green bubbles. Just outside of Dover, green bubbles. And if both of these succeed, then Dover is cut off, and they should be able to hit it from both directions. More naval invasions are landing and pinning these guys in. This is all to play for now. This one Irish defender holding out the masses of German offensives coming in by sea. Naval domination brought in. We have seen the German fleet, the German High Seas fleet, docked for the entirety of the game. We have got some absolutely enormous naval battles going on. Germany with much better screen ships, so it means that the destroyers with their torpedoes and the submarines with their torpedoes are actually able to hit the British ships in the back line. Although at the moment, Germany is losing far more ships in this offensive, mostly because the British just have better ships. They have got more soft attack, they've got more hard attack. They do, however, have fewer torpedoes, and the lack of screens is definitely going to affect them. Barcelona in Spain has also fallen to another battle going on over there. Norwich, they've taken the port. We have a landing in the Union of Britain. This is all taking off right now. Crikey! I don't know what else to open and close. Let's get rid of you. Then let's go and have a look over here. We have got an Australasian invasion of Barcelona. We'll deal with that in a minute. Is that with a port? That is with a port. So we've got the Entente in Spain. And apparently this joint undertaking between both sides is really starting to pay off. 40 capital ships under the Union of Britain against 30 from Germany. I think that Germany is starting to withdraw, but good grief. 66 destroyers for 140. 6 heavy cruisers, 19 battleships, 4 heavy cruisers for 13 heavy cruisers, couple of battleships, and far fewer destroyers. Union and Britain ultimately taking the successful battle there, but the German fleet did enough. They broached the defences. Norwich has fallen. Cambridge is fighting back. Unfortunately, oh no, you've got to attack into Cambridge, because if they can attack into the Norwich port, killing me that I don't know what this is. What port this is. Someone tell me what port this is, please. If they get attacked by the units in Ipswich, they will be pinned and they will no longer gain organisation. It is critical that they attack out. It is critical that these guys attack out into Cambridge and just keep them pinned so that they cannot counterattack. Any units arriving in the Norwich port could definitely move back to Norwich and regain organisation. There is a second wave of naval invasions coming in now, although the British submarines are stepping in and doing some damage. They are being screened by Swedish destroyers. So Sweden and the Reichspakt is successfully doing naval escort missions, meaning that the convoys coming in to reinforce the assaults here are going to be successful. And I would really like to see just a ton of units moving in to reinforce Norwich. It doesn't look like there's very many on the way just yet. We do have these naval invasions which are being pinned off the coast of Hull. But it's the reinforcements here. Why are we not seeing reinforcements? This is absolutely killing me. Reinforce it. And it does look actually like the assault on Ipswich is going to be successful. This is going to give them a little bit more space. And then from all three of these, they can then attack Cambridge. If Cambridge falls, this port is secure. They can bring in new, fresh troops. The attacking... what are these again? 80 units did suffer an absolute mauling at the hands of the submarine, so it does look like the British submarine blockade is going to be doing its job and is going to be able to kill a bunch. I don't know if this is just a distraction attack or if this is an actual offensive, because I would really like to see some more German units coming in to reinforce. But while that's all going on, the Austrian armour is moving in on France. They are actually trying to cut behind Paris right now. The French heavy armour is definitely moving in to try and intercept. Meanwhile, Russia is starting a couple more planned offensives against White Ruthenia, though at the moment without any success. Oh man, this is exciting. We've got another landing just outside of Dover, but again with basically no equipment surviving because of the brutal British submarine blockades. And we have seen that Britain's not really been using their submarines up until this point. It can be a very good job to keep some submarines in reserve just in case you've got to deal with a naval invasion like this. Even if the first wave gets in, you can then cut off subsequent reinforcement, which is what the UAB is doing right now. Felixstowe. The port of Felixstowe. Or Yarmouth. Actually, I suspect that's probably Yarmouth. Yarmouth is bigger known naval base. I reckon that's Yarmouth. Meanwhile, we've got another landing just outside of Dover, though those are fairly quickly wiped away. We've got so many naval invasions coming in, but nothing to support this. This is... I think that they don't think that they can get the naval superiority to continue attacking in. We do have submarines attacking submarines. We have the Austrian capital fleet coming in to provide a little bit of assistance. We have some more airborne units. Le Mans, Alger, Tours, all being pinned by the French at the moment. We've got French heavy tanks moving across the north towards Belgium. For some reason, France moving towards Belgium. I can't imagine why. Then we've also got troops in Lyon. That has fallen. They have taken Marseille and Toulon in the south, and they are just waiting for the armour to get some strength back. They are not... Oh, flipping hell. Look how much armour they have. Suddenly, the Austrian heavy armour units have just exploded in size. Meanwhile, the offensive in Greece does seem to have stalled. We do have 13 of the anti-tank units just parked on top of the one province into Greece. America do have a bunch of heavy tanks here. They could probably try to push it, but they don't seem to be doing that just yet. Meanwhile, we've got a Indian naval invasion of Rome, trying to seize some of the victory points before the game ends in just over an hour. We've got about an hour and a half-ish remaining to go, and all still very much to play for. We do have a CNT FAI cutoff, 3 units there. Paris getting increasingly surrounded. It looks to me like the Reichspakt is trying to get as many provinces around Paris as possible so they can hit it from as many angles as possible. Meanwhile, the Union of Britain, particularly the Irish, are pushing back against the units here. We do have an Austrian heavy tank parking up in Norwich, regaining its organisation, having been successfully slipped through the blockade. We have the Austrian surface fleet trying to protect a couple of their convoys, but not doing so very successfully against the submarines. Was the German fleet not refitted? Probably not. And the Union of Britain's going to have gotten a lot of naval experience. And also I suspect it's probably down to doctrine. So we can take a quick look at Britain. Go down their research. So much is going on. They've just forgotten research. They have indeed gotten some of their doctrines. Trade interdiction, so it's going to be mostly the submarines. They do have some surface abilities, mostly the cruiser and the battleship organization, which is going to let them stay in a fight longer. Whereas Germany, I'm guessing, has no doctrines at all, and that really just shows you the importance that a doctrine can play in naval unit strength. Plus, I suspect that Britain has been refitting their ships, and Germany probably hasn't. Germany has not researched any naval stuff whatsoever, whereas the Union of Britain... So many naval invasion alerts. Middle Africa has capitulated. They've researched 1940 cruisers, mostly for the raiding. They've also researched bigger guns, which they've been refitting with, and also the improved ammunition that they've probably been using. They've upgraded their submarine torpedoes, doing extra damage with those. They have got sonar. They also have the smoke generators, which is a often underlooked and much underappreciated technology because it allows you to retreat more easily. Meanwhile, we have round 2, Electric Boogaloo. It is the Austrian Navy versus the Republican Navy. 39 capitals against 11, 97 screens against 25. Neither side particularly well screened. We've got a 12% screen against the massed Union of Britain submarine. Several of the submarines have been caught and destroyed, probably by the Swedes. We'll need to check to see what those Swedish ships exactly are. They are being hunted, they are being sunk, but both of the... Well, actually, the Republican fleet does seem to have pulled back. I don't know why they're not fighting the Austrians. But even though they have a particularly bad screen, they are sinking a lot of subs here. 12... I've got to take a look at Sweden. Has Sweden been focusing anything with the Navy? Because their destroyers are doing work. Yes, they have actually researched, unbelievably, sonar. And it's actually, unbelievably, sinking submarines alongside the depth charges. Then let's go and take a look at the Swedish Navy, if I can find it. Just click on there, much easier. And we'll go to the light cruisers. They're light cruisers. Tier 3 light cruisers with... maximum reconnaissance, with submarine killing, depth charges, and also sonar. And amazingly, they are finding and sinking submarines. I know, mind blown. That's how easy it is to find and kill submarines, especially if they're low level, as the Union of Britain ones are. IKEA has been founded. I am glad that we were on Sweden when that occurred. It is an auspicious day. Meanwhile, more Ukrainian paratroopers are dropping behind the lines of France. France does have all of these weird, random militia units plastered all over the place, probably to counter these attacks. Meanwhile, the attack in Barcelona, this is the Entente invasion, is pushing out. I need to click on an Entente country. Who's going to be closest? France is going to be the closest. We can see that there is an enormous force here, mixed between Australasia, India, Caribbean Federation. Yeah, mostly them. Also Ethiopia and Panama. They are pushing into France from the south. They are also pushing through a completely unguarded CNTF-AI. All of CNTF-AI's forces are elsewhere, probably propping up France, probably propping up the Union of Britain, and they themselves are now going to fall to the naval invasion. So I suspect that Spain is going to fall to the Entente, and probably Germany is going to take France. Union of Britain also looks like it's going to go to Germany, depending on whether they can bring these Austrian heavy tanks into play. They are arriving slowly but surely. They are braving the blockade. They are taking casualties as they make the way over. And if we click on Austria, we can actually take a look and see exactly how much damage to that unit was done. So they lost about half their strength to the submarines as they were crossing over. But they are starting to get some tanks into the British homelands, and that is going to be a cause for serious concern. I'm a little bit surprised that they've not launched a huge attack for Paris yet. I mean, they do have a lot of tanks here ready to reinforce. It does actually look like CNTFAI and French heavy tanks are pushing the invasion back a little bit. Meanwhile, on the Russian border, Russia's just launching an all-out invasion. Mogilev has in fact fallen to the massed Russian heavy tank units. We can see that they have 6 of them in this unit, and some which have also been expeditionaried out to one of the other players, so that they have multiple people all working on the same thing. This is not a particularly effective attack, but I understand what they're doing. They're just trying to pin the Ukrainian front lines down so that they cannot be sent to reinforce and react to the actual breakthroughs which the heavy tanks are currently doing. It's going to be expensive, it's going to cost them a lot of manpower, but Russia has been basically at peace for about 4 years. So, or in fact, no, they've been basically at peace for the entire game. I don't think that Russia's really done any aggressive moves except for securing the Caucasus and the steppe territories. Oh, and I guess Persia and parts of Saudi Arabia, though they lost it again. But still, Russia is going to have a lot of saved up equipment, a lot of saved up divisions, and a lot of saved up manpower, so they can afford these crazy attacks, which other nations definitely can't. Meanwhile, in Germany, it is itself being counter-naval invaded, this being done by China. China coming in, of course, the crazy, crazy player who was in Spain with the excellent naval invasions in the game last week, launching some naval invasions of their own through the Baltics, because the Baltics was not being protected because Sweden had to move their ships out to go and protect the naval support on the naval invasion of the Union of Britain, which itself seems to be somewhat unsupported now. And I'm getting really, really tired of speaking really, really fast. I'm going to take a drink. Okay, so Copenhagen has now fallen. They have got a landing here. They've taken several ports in Rostock, in Pomerania. They have not yet taken Stettin, though they are not very far away from it. They're also going for Königsberg. Danzig is not very far away, though it does actually look like Danzig is going to be able to fight back. Madrid, meanwhile, in the CNTFAI, has fallen, and it does somewhat look like CNTFAI is going to be the second player casualty for the Third Internationale. Then the next question is going to be who's going to be next, Union of Britain or Commune of France? Because right now, Ireland is the only nation that stands completely unopposed. And we do have a Canadian naval invasion going on against the Union of Britain right now. We do have naval battles going on against the Americanos, but that's not what I'm interested in. I want to see what is going on up here. We've got American heavy ships braving the blockades. An American heavy ship here with basically no strength left, taking a bunch of territory, and then... oh, no, they're still moving. We've also got Caribbean Federation units moving in to support the attack on Glasgow, and all of the Union of Britain forces do seem to be down here in the south, probably defending against the German invasion, and that is allowing the Entente to get a tight grip. And if they can take the entirety of Scotland, or at least if they can take like this corridor, Scotland is basically impossible to retake for the Brits. They just don't have the quality of troops against these guys who are spec'd for land combat. So, Union of Britain is in very serious problems and trouble right now. Germany also might be in a spot of bother, although Germany has managed to rally a significant number of troops, particularly, apparently, the Wallonians. They have stripped their coastal defences on the North Sea and are moving them to instead bolster the defences in Germany proper, because this is going to be a big blow to their manpower and also to their industry. Sweden also is going to be getting a little concerned. It is easier to hold. There is just this one straight crossing, and this one Austrian unit is probably going to be able to do the job. They might even be able to strip a few of the Austrian forces away from the Russian line, but so far they haven't needed to do that. But yeah, right now it's all to play for the victory points. Who is going to get the most important? Sweden, Norway accepted Lend-Lease from Germany. That's nice. I feel like Russia is way too strong. Kaiserreich, not sure why they don't have a civil war like the US. I agree with you, Sad Brian. I 100% agree with you. And I really dislike the fact that they actually removed the Russian civil war. Apparently it's being reworked, but no details as yet. Meanwhile, the Chinese forces are really starting to grow in Russia. Where have they used as a base? Oh, of course, Russia's there. Duh. I don't know why I never considered launching a naval invasion from Russia into Germany, but it makes complete sense if you control the Baltic. And with Germany having been busy going after the Union of Britain, maybe this is exactly what they were waiting for. Just massed Chinese forces here. They are sending more and more also to go and reinforce the offensives. In fact, this isn't just a reinforcement. This is a new wave of attackers against Sweden. Sweden going to be caught not unprepared, but certainly with an unpleasant surprise. They do have their ports blockaded and defended. But is it going to be enough? Are the Chinese going to be able to smash their way through or not? That is the question. Who's going to get Paris first? Entente or Germany? It's going to be such a massive smack in the face if the Entente takes Berlin. And also kind of hilarious. Sorry, not Berlin, Paris. Although that would also be hilarious. I feel like that's going to be more difficult for them to do, but it could still happen. One thing which I would like to see Germany doing right now is any submarines that they may have. Right now, a convoy raiding out here, that's a mistake. They should be in the Baltic to strip the supply away, because all of the supply for all of these units, and they are flowing in with more and more and more and more units, have to be supplied by sea from Russia until they get a land connection here. Which in itself is going to be a problem because they do control the strip around Prussia. So I would really like to see some naval blockades going on, just like the Union of Britain did against Germany so effectively, which basically stopped the German attack. And I would say it was the blockade that stopped it, but I haven't seen anything happening here in that way. We also have the Swedes still doing the convoy escort very efficiently, probably sinking a lot of submarines, but again, not blockading the Baltic. We have Austria not blockading the Baltic, and reinforcements are going to continue to flow in, and they are basically going to be non-ending. We also are starting to see Russian heavy tanks being moved to the front in Germany, because this is a breakthrough. This is an easy place to smash through. This, not so much. Has Bulgaria crumbled? No, but we do have American naval invasion slamming into Bulgaria as well. It does look like... Oh, nope, they've lost a port. They've lost a port right here in Thessalonica. It also looks like this guy's going to get pushed back by another invasion, especially if supported by them. If this guy moved out and took that province, then Thessalonica would be completely secure, and it is a indivisible or irremovable port to supply troops. And it looks like the Bulgarians are guarding the coast against Italy, which they own, rather than really guarding very heavily, although it's probably just because the fallback lines disappearing in Greece. And meanwhile, the Entente continues to roll across Scotland. They have indeed taken the Neck. They have a second port here in Newcastle. They haven't yet taken Lanark, but I'm sure that they will. Yeah, no, not Lanark. That is Lothian. Probably... Oh, it's Rosyth, isn't it? Duh. Meanwhile, the brave Marines and 2 heavy tank units in England are basically just holding these guys up and preventing them from reacting to the naval invasion in the north. Ireland slowly starting to move troops, but nothing else really happening. These 5 militia, for example, just being left to stand there, even though they could be doing an excellent job to plug the attacks. Meanwhile, Liverpool has fallen to Caribbean units attacking into them. Britain being a little bit slow on the uptake against these problems. Meanwhile, the American heavy tanks are basically dead at this point. They just don't have any units, no equipment left, probably because of the stranglehold that the Republican Navy has on the waters around Britain, as we have seen thus far. But as they take more and more ports, and as Britain has shown itself increasingly unable to block that, it's not going to end well for them. The Entente are racing for Gibraltar for a 3-point lead. Copro almost connected here. Copro is almost connected here. The Baltic Duchy is still holding out just about. But what a turnaround for the Reichspakt in their completely unassailable position to this. Giant stacks of Chinese forces in Germany. And that's going to be causing them problems. They have managed to surround and are beginning to annihilate that unit. They do seem to have some kind of... No, they don't have a sign of stability here. Germany just not having time to react to this. And I think they're basically giving up East Germany to the Chinese forces, while they focus most likely on trying to take Paris, which they still haven't done. They haven't even launched an attack against Paris, so far as I can tell. I don't know what Germany is doing at the moment. Meanwhile, CNTF-AI, despite the fact that their homeland is being occupied, they're going to continue to try and push back against the Reichspakt, who are attacking from behind them. And I just want to take a quick look at CNTF-AI. They're about to capitulate. France isn't a million miles away. Union of Britain is a bit further. So if Britain is able to entrench itself and hold, then Third International will not capitulate. However, I have little hope of that happening, especially because they have this port up here. Newcastle has been retaken. Union of Britain is actually moving pretty quickly to retake all of this stuff. Havana has just fallen to another naval invasion. That is being done by the West Indies Federation. High time that that happened. Cuba, of course, being in the Reichspakt at the moment. And there goes Cuba. The one Reichspakt ally in the region. Russia, meanwhile, continues to throw bodies at the Ukrainians to stop the Ukrainians from pulling troops back and fortifying elsewhere. I do think that the Ukrainians are investing too heavily in this frontage, and they should probably pull an army or two away to worry about other things, especially because Russia is probably pulling heavy tanks away to go and, attack Germany more successfully. Germany, of course, being the biggest factor for the Reichspakt. Meanwhile, the Chinese naval invasion has happened. Malmo does look like it's about to fall to the Chinese, Malmo being the port that they are looking for in this area. We do have Austrian heavy tanks who are fighting back, but are they going to be able to reinforce Malmo? I don't know. Clearly, they are being told what to do, pinning that unit while the tanks go around and attack into this unit. If that unit gets pinned, then they should be okay. Is the tank going to get there, though? 94%. If Malmo falls, Sweden falls. Because the Chinese... Yes, Malmo has fallen. Because China has definitely shown itself to be absolutely capable of, doing this mystical thing, which so many other countries don't seem capable of doing. Reinforcing a naval invasion. I know, it's a crazy concept. I don't understand why so many players do naval invasions and just expect that to be the end. It never is. You've got to reinforce that. Once you've made the beachhead, keep sending in more troops, more troops, more troops. Like we've seen Reichspakt do it. They didn't do it. We saw Reichspakt do it last week. They didn't reinforce it. Okay, Malmo has been retaken. The Chinese units being forced away. These guys are all going to die because they're on very, very low organization. And Sweden, for now, survives.